All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Premier Chess Adult Beginner Spring 2021 class. This is the week 10, and we're going to be discussing the game of the century, which is played by Bobby Fischer versus Donald Burns. I believe Bobby Fischer is probably around 13 years old when he played this game, and it might have been the first time he beat a grandmaster also. So that's pretty amazing. All right, and he probably I think became a grandmaster soon after that. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just say some. Actually, before I describe who Bobby Fischer is, so what do you guys know about Bobby Fischer? Let me ask you that first. What does anyone know about Bobby Fischer?
Wasn't he a dropout from school?
Let's see. Most likely, I read a biography of Bobby Fischer's life, and I think he was regarded as like an idiot savant in the sense
Okay.
that uh the only thing that he excelled at was chess, and everything else he was like an utter failure in life. Like he just like they're like joking like he couldn't clean his room. I don't know if he could tie his shoes. I don't know if he could drive, but he can play world class chess. So
I
so
think
yeah.
his mom was constantly trying to get him to do his studies, but he would do everything else. But
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Hey, I
and
got a
talking
lot
about
in common with him. I can do everything else, but I can't play chess. So we're just the opposites.
it's the opposite of Bobby Fischer, right? Yeah, talking about movies. So Pawn Sacrifice is a wonderful movie that chronicles his life, his childhood, and then his adolescence, and his rise basically to challenge Boris Spassky for the world championship in 1972. And he became I believe, the 14th world champion, something like that. Oh, sorry, 11th. He's the 11th world champion, and he won, and it was a very big deal because during the Cold War, the Soviet Union was dominating the professional chess scene, and so Soviets were in complete control of the chess world as well, and so they had this whole pride thing, and then along comes this poor Jewish kid from Brooklyn and topples their empire, and it's like he came out of nowhere. And so basically since the 1970s when he won, since 72, he became like a hero. I think he got like a ticker tape parade when he came back. He was like regarded as like a national hero. He was interviewed on all these talk shows, and so the interest in chess, exploded in the United States since then, and so it became a really big deal. All right, so let me just read to you guys a little bit about him. So he's the 11th world champion. Anatoly Karpov won the title by four. So Anatoly Karpov was his challenger in 1975. Every 3 years, the world champion had a challenger. So he was world champion in 72. In 75, he was supposed to defend it against Anatoly Karpov, but Karpov won by forfeit because because FIDE did not satisfy Fischer's demands. He had all these demands of things that he required people or the organization to do, and appearance fees and all this stuff. And so, yeah, he was a chess prodigy at age 13. He won a brilliancy, dubbed the game of the century. At age 14, he became the youngest U.S. champion. Age 15, he became the youngest grandmaster, and uh, and the youngest candidate for the world championship. Yeah. So amazing guy. All right, and yeah, and then basically towards the end of his life, he was like, how do you say? He was banned from every country in the world except for Iceland, because Iceland was the country that he played the world championship. So I think that's where he died, and that's where he's buried, in Iceland. Yeah. All right. So let's look at the game of the century. So Bobby Fischer is black, and Donald Byrne is white. All right. So okay. So let's see. Okay, so you can say this is kind of like an English opening, C4. They kind of transposed, right? When games start out like this, like knight F3, knight F6, this is a very, very fluid opening where it can transpose into anything, D5, C5, or fianchetto the bishop, or fianchetto this bishop. So there's a lot of possibilities. So they're keeping it open. So, okay. All right, so now it's starting to look like a King's Indian defense. If he goes e4, that would be like a King's Indian setup. Black fianchettos and castles quickly, and white tries to control and dominate the center, all with this. All right. Yeah. Okay, so now I think this is called the Gruenfeld. So now black doesn't allow hold on. Black doesn't allow white to gain this massive center with e4. So he plays d5. Now black is staking his claim in the center, saying, I'm fighting for the center now. Okay, so queen b3, d takes. Okay, all right. So he captured on c4. So he basically forfeited the center a little bit because he removed one of his center pawns. So now with e4, so now you can say white has gained control of the center. All right. So knight b.
Now,
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the point of that d4 move? Because he's got only the queen protecting it versus a queen and a knight defending on the white side of that square. It just seems like he lost a move in a piece.
You mean this d5 move? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Let's go back. So, yeah, I mean, I think the purpose of this is to prevent white from gaining a center. So here, I mean, here there's a lot of pressure coming down on here. He could have just, blocked or supported it with c6. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it's just right here. It's just more style, He's allowing white to gain the center, and perhaps he's going to start attacking on the wings, right, on the flanks. So yeah, all right. Let's see. All right, so develop. Okay. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, why would you do that? Yeah, so okay, so it looks like this knight is free. But of course, the knight probably is not free. So, all right, so okay, this is pretty cool. Okay, can anyone see what's this all about? So what if so here white didn't take the knight, he moved the queen back, but what if he took the knight? What did Fischer have in mind there? What do you think?
Queen to a5?
Queen to a5?
Or no.
Yeah, no, you just lose your queen. What else? What did Fischer have in mind?
Nothing else that redirected the white knight to the edge.
Okay, so first question we have to ask ourselves is what was the job of the knight here? What was it doing?
White knight?
Yeah, the knight on c3. Yeah, what was it doing there?
Protecting the e4 pawn.
Protecting the e4 pawn. Yeah, so with knight a4, he's diverting or decoying the knight away from protecting. So maybe it has something to do with that. Now maybe black can take here, forks the queen and the bishop, and now so the bishop appears to be pretty safe in the sense that it's protected by the queen and the knight. But of course, this bishop can remove the knight pretty quickly, and then this bishop might get a little bit loose. So yeah. So basically, what he's doing is he's taking advantage. Fischer's taking advantage of the fact that the white king is still in the center, right? He didn't castle yet. He's really taking his time. White's taking his time to castle, and so Fischer's moving quickly to attack, right? And now another possibility is what if he goes here? If he takes here, maybe he can go. Maybe black can take, and white takes back, and now Now, what do you think? Best move here? What do you think?
Look at FTE8.
Yeah, rook f to e8, right? And now we're really taking advantage of this king in the center, stuck in the center, very vulnerable, right? And if this bishop moves anywhere, it doesn't really matter where. Now this knight can come with a beautiful discover check, attack the rook, win the rook, but also just regain his piece pretty quickly there, right? So that's one idea. Another idea is, let's say he doesn't go here. Let's say he comes all the way back to protect his bishop, right? So now we can have, let's say, take, and now we have a check here. And now we're double attacking this knight, this bishop here. And Fischer's also attacking here, the knight there. So what does he do? If he tries to save this bishop, what do you think best move is for black here? What do you think?
And knight f7 to fork the rooks.
If you go knight f7, you lose your queen here.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So he blocked the check, and now he's attacking our queen. So best move here.
Knight to d2.
Okay, yeah. So take the bishop, right? So if we take this knight now, then he just takes our knight, and now white is ahead of piece, right? So yeah, best thing here would be to take the bishop, and then take the knight, and now Fischer has regained his piece, and now look at white's pawn structure is completely damaged, right? He's got 4 pawn islands, isolated pawn, doubled isolated pawns, and king is in the center still, and this pawn is probably going to fall very quickly. So very easy win probably here. So yeah. All right, so let's go back. So yeah, very nice move, knight a4. Very, very nice move. All right, so he didn't. So Byrne chose not to go down that route. Take. Okay. All right. Okay, so it appears. Let's see. So Fischer takes the center pawn. Now, it appears that just ends up, with a fork here, king and rook, queen and rook. But I think that Fischer has concluded that since the king is in the center, it's worth it. So let's see. Okay. All right. So he doesn't even take the rook. So now, yeah. So Burns is like, I want to get my king out of the center as soon as possible. So he's hurrying to castle right now, as soon as possible. So what do you think? Let's see. Okay. All right. So what do you think Fischer did here? This is pretty good move. The next move. See if you can figure out Fischer's next move here. So there's a natural move that I think a lot of people would play. It just is obvious. What do you think is the natural move here for black?
I would think rook f to e8.
Exactly. Yeah, rook f to e8. Why not? Right. The rook is being attacked here, and you're getting out of the way of the bishop at the same time as putting your knight on the same file as the king, which is very dangerous, right? So it just completely makes sense. But of course, if you just go with the natural moves, you're probably not going to figure out what these top masters always did, because many times the natural move is not the correct move. So but it was along the same lines as opening up the E file. So Fischer played knight takes c3, right? Very interesting move, very nice move. So now the idea is, if the queen takes the knight, now what does black do? What was the point of knight takes c3? Any ideas? They go with another natural move.
Yeah, if you go to F rook to E8, you win the bishop.
Yeah. So now,
And
now the E file is opened, right? Now he's removed the only piece that was in the E file, and now rook f to E8 will win the bishop. Let me ask you guys a quick question. Why would queen B4 be a mistake? Looks like it's protecting the bishop. So why would that be a mistake?
That bishop can't protect the queen, it's pinned.
So what do we do?
Either interpose or you move your king.
No. There's a strong move here for black. After
just
queen
queen takes queen.
Queen takes the queen. Yeah, the bishop cannot recapture it because due to the pin. So this loses the queen completely, right? Cannot recapture. Okay. So yeah, here the best move would probably be queen a3, defending the bishop. And now what do you think? Good move here.
Bishop to f6.
Yeah. Just PP on the PP, right? Put pressure on the pin piece. So any way you can. Bishop f6, bishop f8, queen c7. Any one of those will do. And you're going to win this bishop. And then black's going to be up a pawn, right? So it's a very nice use of exploiting the fact that white has not castled and this king is very vulnerable in the center, okay? So takes, so he didn't take the knight. Instead, white chose bishop c5, not attacking the queen. So now basically black is forked, right? Rook and queen. And what do you think Fischer did?
Well, rook f to e1.
Good.
Or rook f.
Yeah. So now again, just throwing a check, right? Now this king is very, very weak. So very nice time to do a check. So now you can't really block with anything. So unfortunately, he's forced to move his king to f1. Very ugly move. He can no longer castle. He's forfeited the right to castle. Okay, so now in this position, this is the key critical position here. So now Fischer did a move, and this game went down in history as being the game of the century. There's a combination here. What do you think he did? First of all, I think we should appreciate how different the position is right now. Fischer's king is so safe. This bishop is so active. This bishop is pinning his knight to the rook. This knight is already attacking the rook. Queen is nice and active. Rook's nice and active. And look at his king. Big difference in position, right? So yeah, he's already pretty dominating. So what did Fischer play here?
Looks like white's rook on d1 is free for the taking.
Yes, it is free. That's true. If we take the rook, then we just lose our queen. So then we have a bishop and a rook for the queen, and that's not really sufficient compensation. And this knight looks like it's pretty much trapped too. Maybe the queen comes here. How are you going to defend your knight, right? So yeah, probably not that. So what else?
How about knight to b1?
Knight to b1. Let's see here. I think that would drop a piece after queen d3. So now we're threatening to take the knight, and we're threatening the queen. Yeah, so I think that's going to lose a piece. And the knight's trapped. All right.
What about queen to b1?
Queen b1. Lose your queen. Then your knight. It's not really trapped because you can protect it with this. Yeah, I don't see a clear win though. Maybe the king is going to try to come over here, hide on h2, bring the rook out, and then, yeah. No. What else? Anybody else? Don't feel bad if you don't figure it out, because this is the game of the century. Don't feel bad. All right, so you want me to give you guys a hint? Give you a hint. It has to do. Fischer is exploiting the fact that this king is very awkwardly placed and weak and vulnerable, and so he's saying that I have to figure out a way to attack this king. So there's a pretty good combination here that's available to attack this king. What do you think? Should I give you the move? What do you think?
Let's say rook E1.
Rook E1. No, you just lose your rook. No apparent reason. Yeah, no.
No.
Better move than that. So this move is very difficult to find, right? This is amazing. That Fischer found this move. So I'll just give you the move because it's very difficult to find. Bishop to E6. Wow. My goodness. Why would he do that, right? His queen's being attacked and his knight's being attacked. And he's saying, I don't care about either of them. I'm going to go after this bishop. So why do you do that? So first, let's look at what if white took the queen, then we have bishop takes c4 check. And now if Fischer wanted to, he does have a draw here. So this is kind of let's say here, check, check, check. And now maybe he takes here. And now the queen's attacked, the knight's, the rook's attacked. So he's doing pretty good here, right? So that's if he took the queen, right? Which is actually what he did, right? So let's look at another option. What if white didn't take the queen? What if he took the knight on c3? So now what can black do? Did black just give up a knight? What do you think?
Well, the queen could take the dark bishop, and then the dark bishop could take the queen.
Yeah, queen takes c5. Yeah. Now, why is that possible? Because the bishop is pinning the pawn to the queen, right? So pawn takes, bishop takes, and now, now there's equality, right? Actually, no, black won a pawn, right? So taking the knight won't do much for white either. So yeah, so white is basically forced to take the queen, right? So let's go through that again. So bishop takes c4 check, force here. So now this is kind of the windmill pattern. Everybody know what a windmill is in chess terms? So the windmill is like, goes round and round. And so by using the windmill pattern, usually with check, you can either use it to win material or improve your position, or checkmate either. So now this king is so weak. Now knight e2 forces the king back onto the discovered check. So now, so he can, he does have a draw here if he wants it, but he doesn't want to draw. So instead, he removes this pawn, which is very important because now the whole dark square diagonal is open to the bishop. So that's important. And now he goes knight e2 check, bring the king back for another discovery. Now knight c3 check. So now, hold on. Where are we? Hold on. We are, yeah, here. Check. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now here, yeah, we're king g1. So now, so what would you take first? Would you take the rook first, or would you take the bishop first? What do you think? So both are hanging.
I'm going to vote for the rook.
Okay, take the rook. So if we take the rook, let's see. So now the bishop comes back. So now we have a, let's see, we have rook and two minor pieces. Rook and two minor pieces. Yeah, so black has a rook and a knight for the queen, or a rook and a minor piece for the queen, which is not really that decisive, not really that strong of compensation, right? So yeah, so he doesn't do that. So he takes the bishop. Why is that important? Because now we're exposing an attack on the queen. So he's taken the bishop with tempo. So he doesn't have, white doesn't have time to save his rook. Now he's going to save his queen. And now you can see how important it was to remove the d4 pawn, because now the knight is being protected by the bishop, right? So he can't take the knight now. So the queen comes over here and says, okay, I'm going to attack your bishop so that you don't have time to take my rook. So now he wants Fischer to move his bishop somewhere, and then he can save his rook. So what do you think? What do you think black did? What did Fischer do here?
Takes A2.
A2 with what? Because the knight, the bishop, or the rook.
Rook takes A2.
So okay, so if rook takes A2, now he can take the bishop, and now, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to take the knight, the rook? So if you take the rook, now he takes our rook, and now what's the resulting? Oh yeah, no, now definitely black's losing, right? Now black has a knight only for the queen, so no, definitely not. So what else? What did black do here? So remember, he wants to take the rook. Problem is the queen is attacking his bishop. So how does he solve that?
Bishop E2.
Bishop E2. Okay, so that's attacking the rook and the knight. But okay, again, he can just save his he can save his rook. Let's say he even comes down here. And then there's not really any back rank mate, because here, take, and now the king can escape on G2. So yeah. All right, let's go back.
Maybe like rook A4.
Yeah, rook A4 is a powerful move he made. Why is that so powerful? Because we are not only protecting the bishop, but we are simultaneously attacking, right? So remember I said how these top players, when they defend, they don't just defend, right? They try to make their moves multi-purpose, right? So he's defending and attacking at the same time, right? So he's defending his rook, his bishop, through a skewer, which is pretty nice, right? So then white goes queen takes b6. Now we take the rook, right? And now what's the difference? Now look at this resulting position. Rook and knight versus rook and two bishops for the queen. That is powerful compensation, right? Now this is a decisive win, definitely. So big difference here. So very nice protection of the bishop through the queen, right? By attacking the queen. Okay, so let's see how the game. How did he finish up? So h3. So now he tries to get his king out. Tries to get his rook into the game. Rook takes. King h2. Knight takes f2. Rook e1. Takes check. Okay. All right. Yeah. So he's got a very powerful, so very beautiful centralized bishop here. See, the bishop pair is so strong. Like this queen has no, is no match for a bishop pair and a rook. That's just so powerful. And now he's targeting the G2 pawn with this. So all he has to do is get rid of this knight. I mean, he can just use this knight as well. It's just that's just too powerful. So now all you got to do is get out of this pin, and now he's threatening bishop d6, forking queen and king, right? So that's pretty nice as well. Okay. Okay, so nice. So now that the knight occupies e5. So before, let's say let's say black did he did king g7 now to try to break the pin so he can do this fork, but now white has this check here, right? So now that white occupies the e5 square with the knight, now he can do king g7, and now there's no check here, and now he's free to do bishop d6, which is almost going to be winning the knight, pretty much winning the knight. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so he's got to get out of the way. Check. Oof. Check. Now the king is just running. Check. Check. And I mean, there's many ways to mate here. I mean, there's so many ways. Like he did it this way. So he could have done like this, and that's pretty much a forced mate right there. And the queen basically, she probably has to sacrifice herself here just to avert the mate for one more move. But Fischer chose a little bit more beautiful. Checkmate. Check. And now, where's the mate?
With the dark squared bishop on e3.
Okay, good. This is actually two ways to mate here. Yeah. That's one way to mate. Bishop a3. What's another mate?
Is it rook a1?
No, rook a1. He can go here.
Oh,
King d2. There's one more mate here. What do you think?
Rook c2.
Rook c2. Yeah, very nice mate on c2, right? The knight protects both d1 and b1. So yeah, so these, I'm telling you, rook and all these minor pieces, very, very powerful against the queen, especially these two bishops. So yeah, I mean here even like bishop c3 and all these squares are covered, and yeah, it's just no match. So yeah, so that is the game of the century. And keep in mind that Fischer was only 13 years old when he played this. Amazing game. So I don't know if that makes you feel good or bad. So Samantha, your son only has how many years to go for that? 9 years to go. He's got to do a game of the century. Very nice. Yeah, this is an awesome game. Amazing. All right. So I mean, just imagine being the grandmaster that lost in this way to a 13-year-old. Like you go down in history, but not in the way that you want, right?
Wanted,
So yeah, that's the game of the century. All right. So I have a couple of other great games by Fischer I'd love to go over with you guys since we're on the Bobby Fischer topic. So let's look over this one. This is a game Fischer's white, and black is Samuel Reshevsky. Anybody know who Samuel Reshevsky is? No? Samuel Reshevsky was also a child prodigy and, amazing pictures and stories of him, age like 6 years old, doing simultaneous exhibitions with many players. So pretty amazing. And I think, yeah, he's also from the Soviet Union. I don't know if he defected. He might have defected as well. But yeah, so he was a big rival of Fischer and kind of a contender for the world champion, but never actually made it. But he was a very strong player also. So in 1958, Fischer was 14 years old when he played this game against Samuel Reshevsky. Fischer's white. So what do you think? White to move here? I believe so white's last move was e5, and then black's last move was knight to e8. So it's white to move here. What did Fischer play here?
Knight to e6.
Knight to e6.
It was
Okay,
a crazy move, but
okay, so you're right in the sense that this pawn is pinned, right? So it cannot take the queen. By black moving to knight e8, he broke the communication between the rook and the queen. So the queen is unprotected, but he can take this way, and maybe you take like this, check, and then. But where's the follow up though? So, all right, but you're kind of on the right track. Okay, what else?
maybe put the pawn there instead to e6. I don't know.
Okay, pawn
No.
here. Well, now he can take here, right? And now
Hmm.
if he takes, yeah, now it doesn't really work because now the queen is going to be protected by the rook. All right, what else? So the key to this position is that the queen is unprotected. Like that's basically what makes this combination possible. So, what do you think?
Bishop takes f7.
Yes, bishop takes f7. So yeah, so knight to e6, and the f pawn can take, right? So instead of that, Fischer decided to remove the f pawn with bishop takes f7. Now, of course, black doesn't have to take; he can just move away. But then, Fischer will have just won this pawn. For actually, you know what? No, he didn't. He wouldn't have won a pawn. What is White's best move here? What is White's best move?
Knight e6.
Knight e6, yeah. So now there's no f pawn. This pawn is still pinned, right? And the knight from e6 is attacking on d8. Queen can't move to c7. Knight's attacking, controlling c7, and the queen cannot move to b6. The bishop is protecting b6, so the queen is trapped, right? So in light of that, so yeah, that's one reason why the rook cannot take, because of that reason, right? So the queen's going to be trapped that way. Okay. So the king, if he doesn't want to fall for any of that, the king basically has to take. Okay. So now what is the follow-up to that? What do you think?
Queen f3.
Okay. So queen f3, and now he can kind of just hurry back and he's safe. And the queen's under attack. So what else? So I'll give you a hint. This position is going to lead to a king hunt. So he wants to draw this king out. How do you do that?
E6.
So e6, and he can just come back.
Oh.
Right. So what else?
Knight E6.
Yeah, knight e6. So we continue with the idea of this pawn being pinned and the queen lacking escape squares. We go knight e6. Now, if he doesn't want to lose his queen, he's forced to take with the king. Very sad state of affairs for the king to be out in the open so early. So now how does Fischer continue his attack? What do you think? So he just sacrificed 2 pieces here.
Queen d5.
Queen d5, very good. So now he's not letting him retreat back into his safe haven, right? So queen d5, the only move is king f5. Now how do you continue the attack?
E6.
Okay, so e6 check. It looks good. Let's see here. He can always just block with the bishop, right? I mean, yeah, sure you have something like f4, and then maybe he blocks again. So it probably does lead to a winning position. But yeah, there's a stronger way to achieve the win. So I think this gives him too much fighting chance. So what else?
G4.
Yeah, G4 forces him to come ever closer, right? So remember, when you're doing a king hunt, the closer that you can get your opponent's king to your side, the easier it is to checkmate, right? So now he's forced to go onto the 4th rank, right? So the king started off on G8. He went F7, E6, F5, G4. He's getting much closer. Now, what did white do?
H3.
All right, so H3, and now we're allowing him to come back. So we don't want to allow him to come back. So what do we do?
Queen E4.
Yeah, Queen E4 check. Yeah, is what he played. Very nice. So he's checking and not allowing him to return via these squares to get back to his safe haven. So Queen E4 check, King H5. And now what do you think? We're almost to the end here.
Queen F3.
Watch out for the rook here.
Mm,
Yeah. No, what else? So remember, when we're doing these king hunts, you always want to bring in as many pieces as possible to the attack, right? So here, this is actually, next move is actually not a check, but he's bringing in another piece. So what do you think?
Rook to G1.
Rook G1, yeah. So now this is threatening mate in two ways. Immediate mate with Queen G4 mate, but also he's threatening mate with Rook G5, check, King H6, and then Queen H4, right? So two ways, and both of them really cannot be parried so well at all. So black goes D6 to prevent the mate on G4, and then Rook G5, King H6, Queen H4. So yeah, mate here, very nice. Ladder checkmate on the H file. All right, so let's look at how about if he didn't do let's say he goes here, knight F6 to prevent mate here. Sure, you can take here, but I think there's actually a more beautiful way to checkmate here. Anybody see a forced checkmate? There's a forced checkmate here. What do you think?
Rook to G5.
Okay, Rook G5, King H6. Now what?
Queen to H4.
So if Queen
no, and then
H4, yeah,
right.
now the knight can block, and now, actually, you know what? No, sorry, I'm wrong. That's mate, right? Discover double checkmate. Right, good. Okay, that is mate. You're right. Okay, good. So that's one way. But the other way I was seeing was, again, you see the king is on this discovered check diagonal, so you can take the pawn with. So this is discovered double check, right? And the queen is protecting the rook. King comes back. Now you come back again, check. King comes up, and now you do this same Queen H4. Knight comes over and checkmate. Very nice. So you use the discovered double check to get rid of the G6 pawn, right? So, but yeah, turns out that even with the G6 pawn there, it's still a discovered double checkmate. So cool. What do you guys think about those games?
Good.
Any observations, comments, questions? What do you guys? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Is it illuminating? I hope able to gain some insight from a 13-year-old.
I don't think I could play like him if I lived to be a million.
I know, it's amazing. Some people, study so hard this game, and they just get it, so quickly.
Then you gotta start thinking positive.
You gotta think positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a start. That's a start. But yeah, of course, chess is I don't know, maybe like 1 or 2% thinking positive and like 98% logic, I think. Although there's a big psychological component. I have to say that, like if your opponent's attacking you and doing a pretty good job, and then you just do a wild and crazy move, and your opponent begins to doubt his own attack, then he may just stop in his tracks and just go to defend himself, thinking that even if you don't have a plan, thinking that you do have a plan, right? So sometimes you can use psychology to defeat your opponent as well. But yeah. Any other questions or comments? So what do you guys think about next week? Any requests? Any specific games you want to
I think we're off next week.
Oh, that's right, for Memorial Day, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a Monday. Okay, cool. So I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. Well, what about in 2 weeks? What do you think? Any requests? Any specific games you want me to look at? You want to go over?
So I don't know about games, but I feel like I always do a good job in the opening. But then once I get to the mid game, I'm always like a little unsure of where to even proceed sometimes.
Hmm.
So some potential, like, what are some things you should be looking for in a mid game?
Yeah. So that's what I was focusing a little bit about that. So with the when we went over a whole game, what was it? We did territory
I
domination.
always thought that, the opening you choose is, well, you pick a particular opening so that it puts you in a middle game position that you're, I guess, familiar with or comfortable with, so that you at least have a somewhat of a plan, going forward.
Yeah. I mean, you can learn a couple of openings here and there, but it gets pretty complex. And so the idea of how to formulate a strategy in the middle game, right? I assume that's what you mean, Anthony?
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me too.
Yeah, we can. I can work on something with that. That sounds good. All right, so I guess I'll see you guys in 2 weeks then.
Sounds
All right.
good. Have a good holiday.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good, Class. Thank you.
You're welcome.